Right.
Cool.
We're on. Hello. No Choftes podcast. Well, it's been about, how long has it been? 2 weeks since I last did a podcast. I had no Kaseko, and I'm glad a lot of people enjoyed it. I had a lot of positive feedback, and thank you everyone for your questions. Again, it was an absolute pleasure talking to Noel. But I've got a guest on this podcast who I actually haven't had on a podcast for about 4 years. He's a Hungarian football expert. I've got my notes here about you, Tom. Don't worry, I got you. Founder of HungarianFootball.com. It's Tomasz Mortimer. Welcome to the No Choftes podcast, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, thanks for having me, mate. I'm good. Thanks. How are you?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good, mate. When I message you, you're probably thinking, what's all this separate football podcast this guy's talking about this time? You've been well, though, yeah?
Yeah. Good. Especially recently with Hungary doing really well. Yeah, it's been awesome.
Fantastic. Well, for those of you watching at this moment in time, obviously we're not live, so we're going to be on YouTube right now. So, yeah, this is going to be a little bit of a Hungarian football appreciation night. Obviously, we've got Adam Lang at Omonoia, who's been absolutely immense for us, and we'll go into Adam in just a moment. But Thomas, let's talk about Hungary's Euro 2020 qualification campaign. I mean, let's be honest, mate. It was a bit of a bumpy road for you guys, but you got through via the playoffs, beating Bulgaria and Iceland. When you saw the draw originally, the qualification draw, what did you make of it? Did you give your nation a bit of a chance there?
Yeah, so like you say, it was a bit of a bumpy road. We've had a very tough qualifying group. We had Croatia, Wales, Slovakia. So those three teams immediately. We were obviously all vying for a second place. Like we were all expected Croatia to run away with it, and then we were vying with two teams probably just above our level, really. The players that Slovakia and Wales have are far better on paper than what we have, really. But our qualification group was all right. Like we did well. We unfortunately lost at home to Slovakia, which really cost us in the end. But we beat Wales at home. Beat Croatia at home, like two amazing results. It's just we didn't have enough consistency there, really. And away games just killed us. So yeah, we went into the playoff, which was off the back of the Nations League performances, and drew Bulgaria. And I was quite optimistic ahead of the Bulgaria game, to be honest. I'd seen them. I saw them against England when they got battered, when all that racist stuff was kicking off. It was quite a big moment in English football as well as Bulgarian, and England absolutely battered them. I know England are a good team, so they can batter a lot of teams, but they looked really bad, Bulgaria, that night. And then I saw them about 3 weeks before they played Hungary and they played Ireland, and they looked, not great. I think they drew 0-0. So yeah, I was quite confident ahead of that Bulgaria game. We weren't particularly great that night, but we still won 3-1 away, and there were actually fans at that game, so it was a really good result. And then the Iceland game, which was obviously last Thursday, ahead of that game, I thought it was a bit of a 50-50, which maybe says how far Hungary have come, because Iceland are a very good team. They're obviously in the League A of the Nations League, which is basically home to all the best teams, even if they don't all take it seriously. And Iceland, they did finish bottom of that group, but they're obviously a good team. They did well at the Euros, obviously beat England. So yeah, we always knew that was going to be tough. But we were probably the better team on the night, and then just the way we did it was amazing. Loic Nago scoring with 3 minutes to go. Actually born in France, doesn't even speak Hungarian. It was an amazing story for him to score. Only the second person of colour to ever score for Hungary as well, so another milestone there. And then Szalai just picking the ball up in the last minute in his own half, dribbling 50 yards with the ball and just smashing it in off the bottom.
Some finish
Absolutely, that was absolutely unreal. To score 2 goals late on like that was just amazing, and yeah, sent the country wild. And then obviously 3 days later, we had a game against Serbia in the Nations League, drew that, so it meant that we had a really good chance of winning our Nations League group in League B, and ended up beating Turkey 2-0. And then Russia in their game lost to Serbia, so it meant we qualified for the League A and the Nations League, it's been an absolutely wild week, to be honest. Like, I know not everyone takes the Nations League seriously, but I think teams like Hungary do, and I think that's maybe why we progressed. And yeah, it was amazing moment.
What are your thoughts on Marco Rossi, who came in a couple seasons ago? I know that he was the head coach at Honved, won the league title there, and yeah, he got the national team job, and he seems to have made you guys a much more compact side, very Italian-like, so to speak.
Yeah, it really has. It's amazing as well because Hungary have never been known for a team that are good defensively. We've always kind of just been, we've always had good attacking players, good flair players, but at the back we've just looked like a horror show. And sometimes we'd play well, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we'd make a ridiculous mistake, and then we'd be 1-0 down, and then we just collapse defensively and mentally. And and Rossi's brought that to him. He's brought a solidness. Like you say, we're compact when we play. We haven't really lost the attacking verve, but it's just defensively we look so solid. And I think he's also brought a mental steel to the team as well, which it may be also part of his Italian heritage, which is just, it's elevated our team. Like, we've got players who shouldn't be performing to the level that they are. Like, most of our team on Wednesday against Turkey, we had two players based in Cyprus in the team. We had 8 players based in Hungary and 1 player based in Slovakia. And we beat Turkey 2-0, and we more than deserve to beat them 2-0. So, like, if you look at our team on paper, this just shouldn't be possible, but everyone's playing like way beyond their capabilities, and they're just looking like not world beaters, but they're looking like they are playing at the level that they are at the moment. It's really good.
You could tell that the confidence is running through the whole squad, isn't it? It's not as if you've got a few fringe players that are going to come in and they're going to be shy of confidence. They've come in, they've done a job, and you know, you mentioned the defensive solidity. Let's talk about Adam Lang here, because this is a player that Omonoia signed last summer from Cluj. I think it was a free transfer, if I'm not wrong. Signed on a 3-year deal. Probably didn't know much about the Cypriot League, but then again, Henningberg came in, brought him in. He's formed a fantastic partnership with Mikhail Lufner, another central defender who came in on loan from Copenhagen, Czech Republic under-21 player, or former under-21 player. And last season, okay, slow start, as you'd expect from a group of players that hadn't really played together for long, but we ended up winning the title, were awarded the title. This season has started pretty well from a European perspective. We beat Ararat away from home in the Champions League qualifier, beat Legia Warsaw 2-0. We beat Red Star Belgrade, who only conceded 1 goal in the Champions League qualifiers up until the playoff matches against Olympiacos. And again, we held them off for 70 minutes away from home until they got a dodgy penalty. So defensively, we've been absolutely solid, and that's purely because of Lang and Lufner. Don't get me wrong. Our fullbacks have been immense. Tomasz Ubachan, Slovak international. He's at right back. Mavrias is a Greek international at right back as well. So they're vying for that right back spot. We've got Lesiak, who's a Czech Republic left back. So, as I said, in terms of a defensive solidity, it's there. But Lang and Lufner, Lang especially, those are the 2 guys that are the glue that hold that defense together. And I'll tell you what, when I watched Lang for Hungary, because I watched a lot of that Bulgaria game, and I know he conceded a free kick, which a penalty was actually given, and then they changed the decision and whatnot. I'm thinking, you know, just these little mistakes that he makes, they're very uncharacteristic of him. But as I said, he's been absolutely phenomenal for us. So you seeing him at international level, what do you make of him? And did you know much about him before he joined the? Because I think he's made like 36 appearances, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been around the Hungary squad for a long time, and actually, when he came through for at club level, he was highly rated. He wasn't kind of the next big thing. No one really expected him to be that, but he was in a draw team which won the title when he was pretty young. A team that kind of unexpectedly won the title, and he was one of the better players playing at the back. He was kind of known as being really good on the ball, but defensively shaky. and he played a lot, like I say, for Hungary, and he played at the last Euros as well for us. And he was just always kind of known as this guy. Yeah, he's great on the ball, but he's just always got a mistake in him. But to be honest, that's just what Hungarian defence have been like for so long. Like I alluded to just earlier, like we've always had these players who've just got mistakes in them, and Adam Long was just typical of that. Really, I'm not sure if it was a mental thing, or I think it was just more mental than anything. I think that's all you can put it down to, because he has the technical ability, but it just mistakes were just happening all the time, and it was not like one a game; it was two or three. And so when September came around and we had all these important games, I was hesitant about Long being back in the squad, just because of his previous, really. And he came back to Hungary, played for Vidi, he did okay, and then he went to Cluj, like you say, and he wasn't particularly a first teamer there. I think he was in and out of the first team. But whatever has happened to him when he's been to Cyprus, these last few games for Hungary, he's just been just so good. And I even put it on Twitter the other day. I just said, forgive me, Adam Long, for slagging you off all these years, because last few games he's just been so good. He looks like a beast. Like, he's still got the ability with the ball, but like, he's just unbeatable, really. And like you say, he made that mistake in the Bulgaria game, but since then, like, he's just been unstoppable. And he didn't actually play against Iceland. And I said at the time, I said again on Twitter, like, I think that's really harsh to drop him, because he's been quality. I think some people were like saying to me, because they've been slagging him off for so long, like, wow, 2020, eh? I was like, yeah, but he has been so good. I don't know what's changed. I don't know if it's Marco Rossi at international level, who's obviously brought his experience of managing and playing in big leagues, and he knows how to coach defenders, which is maybe a reason why we've become better all together. Or it's maybe something in Cyprus that someone's instilled into him, because the changes that have happened to his ability have happened when he's moved to Cyprus. But yeah, super impressed with him recently. I'm hoping it's not just a phase he's going through. I hope it's more long lasting. I know a lot of players, for whatever reason, are playing better at the moment, maybe because games are behind closed doors and stuff. I don't know if that's actually the case in Cyprus, to be honest. But yeah, whatever the reason is, I hope it continues, because he's actually got a lot of time on his hands as well. For a centre half, he's actually he's still got a lot of his prime years left.
Yeah. The thing is, with Lang's development, especially at Omonoia, what we've seen, I'd say, especially in the past 3 to 4 months, is a kind of change in the club's dynamic. Whereby last season we were challenging for the title. Look, the standard of defending in Cyprus isn't great, okay, but you're not going to find 4 or 5 top strikers that are going to get 15 to 20 goals. So without denigrating the Cypriot League, Lang is going to have less to do, especially at a club like Omonoia, who are challenging for titles. But on the flip side, we've seen a change in Omonioi's dynamic in the past couple of months, because there's been European football. So as opposed to being more swashbuckling or attack-minded domestically, they're going very compact in Europe. So it's a 4-2-3-1, which is effectively a 4-5-1, hitting teams on the counter-attack. And I think I see some similarities between the way that Hungary played from a defensive aspect and Omonoia, because there's always that protection from your central midfielders. And Lang is getting that at Omonoia, whether it be with Jordi Gomez ahead of him, whether it be Shehu, whether it be Vitor Gomez. So he's got that protection there, but he's also got a partner beside him that is playing on a regular basis. Now, I don't know if it's like that with Hungary. Does he have a regular defensive partner that he's been playing with continuously?
So it's funny that, sorry, you just mentioned Vitor Gomez. He used to play in Hungary as well, played for Vidi a few years ago. So for Hungary, he's actually playing as part of a 3, and maybe is the reason why he is looking better. Maybe why in general our centre halves look better, because if they do make a mistake, then at least there's another two defenders to him for them to bail him out. And maybe well, he's not really making the mistakes, but maybe it's like the mental side of it. He's thinking, if I do make a mistake, there's actually more cover for me here. Whereas if I make a mistake in a 2, I'm going to be exposed. So I think it's maybe, I'm sure it's to do with playing in a 3, but whether that's actually like the technical side of it, the tactical side of it, or the mental side of it, I'm not sure. Whatever it is, he's thriving in it. And Attila Szalai as well, and I know we'll get onto him. He's also thriving in the 3.
Great stuff. Now, the thing is, I had the discussion with a friend of mine a couple of weeks ago, and it was actually, it was longer than that. It was about 3-4 weeks ago. We played Ethnic, and unfortunately, Lang got sent off. He conceded a penalty. He was the last man. He had to see red. And my friend said, well, this is the second time he's conceded a penalty this season. And I said to him, well, yeah, I think he conceded a couple last season as well. But the thing is, he's a very physical defender. And referees in Cyprus, they love blowing that whistle. And the penalty that he conceded against Anorthosis at the beginning of this season, if it was a challenge anywhere on the pitch, whether it be halfway line, edge of the box, wherever, 9 referees out of 10 would not have given anything, because he's just used his arm to lean over the the striker, and the striker's gone down like a sack of spuds. It was away from home at a big club like Anorthosis. It was a derby game. A questionable referee that's been known to go jogging with some of the Anorthosis players in his spare time. So obviously the conspiracy theories are out there. And yes, granted, he's conceded penalties, but as I said, he's a physical defender. And he doesn't look like a stocky kind of guy, does he? You kind of think, how much time does he spend in the gym?
Yeah. He didn't ever used to be a physical defender, which is another thing that's really come on over the last few games. Like I say, he looks like a beast. Like all of it. Like, I don't think like physically he looks like a beast, but the way he plays, he's like a beast. Well, he never used to be like that. He didn't used to, like I say, he didn't used to be a physical defender. He used to be kind of one of these classy defenders who's really good on the ball, and then doesn't really kind of shirk the physical side, and then when the tactical and the mental side wasn't right as well, like you weren't really getting anything from him. You were kind of getting a guy who's good on the ball, who can't really defend, but now he just seems like the full package. And yeah, I imagine in a league where it's not that physical, he might come unstuck a little bit, and give away free kicks and penalties and stuff.
Well, long may his form continue, because we really did suffer without him from a I'd say a physical standpoint. Don't get me wrong, Gusulos came in, he did a fantastic job at centre back. But when you've got that partnership there with those two central defenders, Lang and Lufnan, obviously Thomas Huber-Chan to the right side of him as well, bags of experience. So I guess it's going to help Lang in the long term. And also I think with Henning Berg at the helm, who was such a fantastic defender for United and Norway and Blackburn Rovers, I'm pretty sure he's learning off him as well.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you want, really. Like, well, we also, Henning Berg was in Hungary, also at Vidi as well. So we had him there, and he didn't do particularly badly. He left quite quickly. He lost the league to actually Marco Rossi's team on the last day of the season. Okay. I think 2017 maybe. But I don't think he was particularly liked because he didn't have much charisma on the sideline. I don't know if he's the same way.
He's loved at Omonoia, mate. He's absolutely loved at Omonoia. And the thing is with Henning is that the one thing fans will credit him most for is his blooding youth, which is something that is foreign to Cyprus. Most of the squads there are made up of foreign players, but this season, I mean, we played. Was it AEK? We played AEK at home, and we played 5 academy graduates in the starting lineup, and there were 3 or 4 on the bench. 2 of them had school the next day. So, you know, he's trusting the youth, which is something that this club wants and something that this club needs, because for years we've had, you know, no disrespect, loads of foreign players, but we haven't seen Cypriot players develop or the national team develop. But sorry, I interrupted you. You carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, that always used to be the thing when I used to look at Cypriot teams when they were playing in Europe. Apollon, for example, every time I used to look at Apollon's team, you didn't used to see a Cypriot in the team, did you? Really, it's just full of I think Brazilians, a few Brazilians.
Well, you know who their head coach is now, right?
I don't think so.
Mick McCarthy is their head coach. Apollon,
Oh my God! Wow, wow.
Yep.
It's an interesting choice.
Yeah. Fourth head coach in the space of 12 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. How long has he been there?
3 weeks, 2-3 weeks. Yeah.
Okay.
He signed the contract until 2021, I think. I don't think he will last. Was it 2022? He won't last. he won't last. Sorry, carry on. I keep interrupting you, man. Sorry.
That is it. That is very interesting. Just learning from someone like Henningberg, obviously, you want to be learning from the best. Well, obviously, when they're traveling United, didn't he? So learning from the best like that, and whatever's happened to him, if it's management or if it's just growing up, and just being a bit more experienced, he's thriving, to be honest.
Fantastic. Okay, well, let's quickly talk about another central defender that's in Cyprus. I haven't seen him play too much because, in all fairness, most of his appearances have been off the bench, and that's Attila Szalai. Another central defender, left-footed, pretty decent to be fair, but again, he struggled to really make any headway at Apollon. He signed in the summer. I think it was about 300 grand. I can't even pronounce the club that he joined from. Let me see if I can pronounce it. Mezkovzed. Sorry, there you go. See, my pronunciation is crap. But I think he had to spell.
No one will even know. Yeah.
I think he had to spell at Rapid Vienna in their youth academy for a few years. But he's obviously made the Hungarian national team. Apparently, Galatasaray are looking at him, which isn't really much of a surprise given he's come on leaps and bounds. I think he's 22 years old. But as I said, he hasn't had his opportunities at Apollon, but perhaps now there's a new manager that's just come in. Perhaps he'll give him his opportunities. Well, tell us a bit about him, because again, Omonoia fans, we look at our team and we're less concerned about others, especially Apollon, who haven't really been much of a threat, even though they're second.
Yeah, and they're in Europe as well, aren't they?
They were, and they got spanked 5-0, and then
yes.
Omonoia is the only Cypriot team in Europe, my friend. We're the only team.
Yeah, he is. So when he came through Rapid Vienna, he was touted as being the next big thing, and one of his coaches at Rapid actually called him the next Badstuber. It's such a random player to compare him to. Obviously, the Badstuber obviously was a decent defender, but it's just a bit of a random person to compare him to. And then he just did nothing at Rapid, and then ended up going to Hungary, and like you say, Mezkovec, to are just a village team, to be honest. That like I said, no one will know who Mezkovec are outside of Hungary. They've had a few good years, almost like doing a little bit of Wigan. Like they've got a little bit of money and performing well beyond their means, and ended up getting to a cup final last season. And I'm sure what they're doing really badly this season, they'll probably drop down into the second division and never be seen again. But so he went there, and then just got this random move to Cyprus. And then because I think we have been so bad defensively for so long, he got his chance for the national team. There's not a lot really else, and he's left-footed, so and we play a back three, like I say. And Rossi said that one of the reasons why he really likes Szalai playing there is because having a left-footed player on the left side, it just gives extra balance, especially when you're going forward. It means that player who's playing on the left side isn't cutting into his right every time, and it means that player can actually progress with the ball a little bit more, and can link up with the left wing back as well. And he's been outstanding. I think he's been better than Long actually for the national team. Okay. He's got a really good passing range. like he's got a hell of a shot on him. Actually, he almost scored a screamer. I can't remember who it was against. It might have been Serbia or maybe even against Iceland. He's really quick. He's really strong. Again, like Long, I think he's benefiting from playing in a back three, because if he makes a mistake, he can be bailed out by his central defender. He struggled in one of his first games against Russia at home when we lost 3-2, and that was kind of a game where where all the defenders struggled a bit. But ever since then, he's just been class, and I'm not surprised that he's getting linked away from Cyprus, especially if he's not playing that much as well. Like he's just been superb. He looks like he's got everything about him. I've heard I'm not sure what clubs, but Marco Rossi said that a few Bundesliga clubs have been interested in him as well. And I'm not surprised. And that guy who compared him to the bad Steve, and maybe he was right after all. Like maybe we were all wrong. When he came back to Hungary, no one thought he was anything special. But the last few games, he just looks like he is. And I know it's not right to probably judge a player on playing in such a short space of time, but he just looks, he looks quality, and he's 22. Like for a centre half, that's really young.
Yeah, that's right. And I know that Apollon, under the previous manager, played with three central defenders, and Szalai either started on that left side or came off the bench to be on that left side. And you mentioned that European game where they got walloped 5-0 by Lech Poznan, and that ended their qualification chances. And he had the nightmare, as did most of the team. But it's interesting that Szalai's agent is the agency is called Rogon. And I think they got the likes of Firmino and a lot of Bundesliga players on their books. So again, it will kind of correlate, doesn't it? It kind of makes sense, especially if there's a Turkish team involved, if the agent has that relationship with Galatasaray. But, if they were to sell him, how much do you think they could fetch? I mean, they signed him for what, 260 grand in the summer? So you think they can double that? Or maybe do you think they'll hold on until the summer to see if he makes it to the Euros and then sell him off that?
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. The only problem is that it's going to be hard for us to shine at the Euros because we've got Germany, France, and Portugal in our group. So,
you never know. You never know. If he can kick Mbappe a few times,
Yeah, exactly. And if we get a couple of draws in those games, every player is going to look like a bargain, because, like I say, against Turkey, almost all of our players are playing in Hungary, a couple in Cyprus, one in Slovakia, and it's not usually that much different even when we've got our full team. Like we've got about 4 Bundesliga players, we've got Szoboszlai who plays for Salzburg, and then most of our players do play in these smaller leagues. So everyone is going to look like a bargain potentially if we do put up these great performances against these big nations. And Szalai and Lam, if they both perform as well, they'll be in the shop window. Unfortunately for you, maybe.
Well, listen, the way I see it, I mean, this transfer break, Omonoia have made 300 grand from Lang, Duris, and Hubichan being on international duty, because UEFA have compensated the club 100 grand per player. And I think it's based on the amount of time they've spent away from the club and minutes on the pitch, etc., etc. So it's come to around about 300,000 euros. Ideally, we'd want a good return on investment on these players. And I don't think, Lang has come to Omonoia just to play in Cyprus. Let's not make any bones about it. He's playing international football. So, in the summer, he's going to be playing against Cristiano Ronaldo, Mbappe, Gnabry, all these other players. He's going to come back to Cyprus. He's going to think, well, no disrespect, but I've played at a higher level now. I want to better myself and go elsewhere. I don't think he's the kind of person to make noises, but we're realistic, right? We're a tiny club on an island, in comparison to your Man United, your Juventus. We're a tiny club, right? So if we can make a couple of million on this player, great. I'm pretty sure we can probably make 5 to 6 million on him. This is my honest opinion. And the reason why I say this is because our owner, Papastavro, he's a businessman. He's an American Cypriot. He's looked after the club from a financial perspective. There's a bit of controversy, which I love. Other Omonoia supporters will discuss, but I'm not going to go into that. but the club's more financially stable. And if you look at the club, for example, on the official website, you're seeing commercial partners. You're seeing a lot more commercial investment, which is something that you're not really going to see from a Cypriot club. We have a big supporter base throughout the world. We've got fans in Australia, the UK, America. So I don't see why people like Lang can't put Omonoia in the shop window. But then again, it wouldn't surprise me if Lang is using Omonoia as an opportunity to get in that shop window. So I think everyone is happy at this moment in time. Hungary fans are happy. Cypriot Omonoia fans are happy. And we're just grateful to have a player like this because, 12, 13 years ago, we wouldn't talk about having Hungarian international footballs. But we had another one, which is a segue into Leandro, a guy that I had in this podcast a couple of months ago, Ferencváros legend. What's your take on him? What are the Hungarian fans saying about him?
They absolutely love him. Really do. He's not Hungarian by birth. He didn't really grow up in Hungary either. He moved over to Hungary when he was about 16, but he fully embraced the country, the culture. He lived with a couple of, I think about 2 60-year-olds when he first moved to Hungary in a place called Szombathely. Sorry, and he played for Holodos there. And he just thrust himself into the culture. Szombathely is a really, it's not a tiny village, but it's a small town on the Austrian border. Like it's not popping for a Brazilian kid. It's not like the place where, I guess a guy from wherever he's from in Brazil would feel like his home. But from the minute he landed in Hungary, he loved it, and then made an absolute name for himself. Played for Debrecen, played in the Champions League with Debrecen in the actual group stages. Then spent a few years at Fradi. Ended up playing for the Hungarian national team. Obviously went to Cyprus, did really well, and came back to Hungary and ended up captaining Ferencváros through some of their better years that they've had. And he was just class until the end. He was playing for Ferencváros at 38, and he was still. He obviously didn't have any legs by the end, but like playing centre half and dictating play from deep, scoring goals. He was captaining the side. Like he was loved by basically everyone in Hungary. Like for a kind of a foreign player to be that loved by a country which are very patriotic, they love their own. But he basically made himself part of their own, and a great guy and a really, really good footballer. Like super intelligent, super skillful, just a silky Brazilian, kind of what you expect from a Brazilian player. Awesome.
Fantastic.
I used to love him, to be honest.
Yeah, we do as well. We do. He's a pretty guy as well. So, yeah. One more thing before we wrap it up, mate. Again, thank you for joining me. We really appreciate it. And does the name Fanos Katelaris mean anything to you? Or Katelaris, as we call him?
No, nothing.
No. Well, he was on loan at Zalaegerszeg. Is that a club in Hungary?
Yeah, we call it ZTE. It's probably easier.
Right. He was there last season on loan from Omonoia. Central midfielder, Fanos Katelaris, yeah. So, and apparently he was racially abused by some supporters and he stood up to them. I don't know if there's any truth in that.
Wow, so that might have been the case when the lad from America scored against Újpest. It was just after the George Floyd killing, and he scored to make it 1-1 in the last minute, and this was almost to send Újpest down, and he went and did the like the Black Power salute or whatever that's called, and I remember it. I didn't realise he was from Cyprus actually, and he kneeled down and did that. I think
really was this last season?
If that's right, I'm not 100% sure if that was him, but at the end of last season, like one of the American black players did that. Eric McWoods, I think his name was.
Okay.
And yeah, they both kneeled down and did that power salute, and they got racially abused really badly.
Because the story came out because we've got a paper based in London called Bariki Agi, and it's got Cypriot news and whatnot. And there was a little section on their website, and it says Fanos Katelaris. It was in June, and it said here you go. Let me find it. Cypriot
that would make sense, I guess. At the time.
He protested to an anti-racist action reacting to racist abuse initiated and directed by the fans of his team against one of the football players of the opposing team.
Oh wow! So maybe that isn't. I thought it was I thought Eric McWoods did it in about June. So maybe it isn't that, unless someone maybe like. I don't know. Maybe
this is it, because it's grainy. Like the information is grainy. So unless it's made the headlines on Sky Sports or all these other, you won't know. But it's just a little section in the newspaper or online. They're saying, oh, he stood up to it. But again, if you don't know about, other people don't know about it. I don't know. But apparently it happened. So whatever. He's now playing for Apollon. Yeah. He's playing with your mate. He's at Apollon now.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, he joined in the summer. So,
yeah.
There you go.
Cool.
Well, Tom, listen, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, unfortunately.
No, Karen.
Sorry, I was just going to say, unfortunately, Hungarian football is like rife with racist abuse, and it's something that happens.
Mate, it happens everywhere, though. It happens everywhere. Yeah. So I don't think there's one country where it doesn't happen. It happens everywhere, and that's unfortunately that's something that it's an educational thing. We can talk for hours about racism. We could talk hours about it. But the fact remains, we as human beings need to do something about it. We need to snap out of this stupidness and be human, treat everyone as equal. But anyway, we could go on about this. But Tom, look, thanks for coming on the show, man. Really appreciate it. And hopefully I can have you on another time. Maybe in January, there might be some more Hungarian players coming to Cyprus. You never know.
Well, if they all do as well as these two, I think everyone in Hungary is kind of seeing like these guys playing in Cyprus. They're like, how good is the Cyprus league? Like, why are these players just turning into world beaters all of a sudden? They might be trailblazers. Yeah,
must be the weather, man. Must be the weather and the diet, because whenever I go out there, I feel 20 years younger. Honestly. But, there you go. Excellent. Brilliant. Well, look, before we wrap it up, mate, do you want to let everyone know where they can find you on social media or your website and all that?
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at Tomasz Mortimer. That's without the H and with a Z at the end of Tomasz. Mortimer, Mortimer. Hungarianfootball.com. And we also host a podcast called the Hungarian Football Podcast. You can get that if you just search it in Google. You'll be able to see it on SoundCloud, iTunes, or Spotify.
Bomba, I'm going to put all of those links in the description as well, just for safekeeping. Right, that was the No Choftes podcast for the OLB. I'll be back with a review of the Nea Salamis game, which hopefully will win. 3 games without a goal in the league, but 5 games without a win. But we got Mikel Duris. It's Duris mode. We'll be back. Bamishilakamu.